to start out with a little story. There was a young man who was sitting at home watching TV, watching one of those award ceremonies where they had the red carpet. He noticed the big-time celebrities like LeBron James and Patrick Hill, Brad Pitt, all of them had these nice suits on. And he looked at them and realized, I'd like a nice suit, I want to be like them. Man goes to Men's Warehouse, he walks in, and he kind of looks at the front of the store, and he thinks to himself, well, these must be the best suits because they're at the front of the store. So he's looking through the suits, and he's looking at the price tags, and he's like, this one's only about $500, it can't be that good of a suit. He moves over and sees Armani, and looks at the price tag, and it's $5,000. He's like, this has got to be it. This has got to be the right thing for me. So he takes the suit up to the cashier, and says, I want to buy this suit. And the cashier says, great, we'll take you back, we'll get it fit, and we'll do some trimming, make sure that it's hemmed correctly. He goes, no, I just want this suit. He's like, are you sure? Like, you want to make sure that, it's going to fit on you accordingly. He says, no, I want the suit. Takes out his credit card, gives him $5,000, takes the suit home. Puts the suit on, the jacket falls off, the pants fall down. It's not a right fit. I leave this. To the Corps of Cadets, what do you think is the most significant decision you will ever have in your life? I have prizes. I'm going to come down too. The most significant decision that you will ever make in your life. Take a guess. Right there. Say again? Going to the Army? That's the most significant? It possibly could be. There's no wrong answers. I'm going to give it to you. Right here. Not quite. Right there. The most significant decision you will ever make in your life. They already know what it is. Right there. Yes.
Making sure that your decision really is a good decision.
Not quite. Let me take a few more. Close.
What should you do?
Not yet.
Taking help, even though you don't want to.
Not yet.
When you got to high school.
Not yet. We're getting there.
Marriage.
Marriage. Your significant other, finding that penguin and taking that pebble and dropping in front of them and mating with them for the rest of your life. Your sweetheart. So, that's the most significant. What do you think is the second most significant decision? Somebody already said it. Go ahead. Education. Someone else said it. The first young man back there. What'd you say? Going to the Army. What else is there? Yeah. Career. Whatever it is that you're going to do when you turn 18 and you graduate from this fine institution and your parents say you can't stay here, you got to get up out the house. So whether it's college, joining the Army, doing the Peace Corps, whatever decision, that's going to be the second most significant decision that you're ever going to make in your life. And what do you think the success rate for each of those is? I can take from this side as well, because you probably know. What do you think it is?
Marriage is pretty low, like successful marriage.
Say again?
Successful marriage, the chance is pretty low.
What do you think it is? Give me a number.
Like 45%?
Close. It's 50%. Unfortunately, in America, 50% of marriages fail. 50% chance that whatever it is that you decide to do when you leave out of here, that you're going to be successful in doing that job. I wanted to be a doctor. I went to college, failed biology my first semester. When I did my internship in the hospital, I passed out when I saw the sight of blood. I'm on a 50% fail rate. These are some significant decisions that you're going to make. And what are they based off of? How you were brought up, how your family background is, what your friends are doing, what's out on social media, what's out on TV. All these major decisions are based on all those different influences, but you're the one that's going to have to make it. It's all part of our stories. One story. I grew up in San Diego, California to two Navy parents. My dad is a fourth generation military servant. My mom was the first one in her family. Both had successful Navy careers. It was awesome. Me, growing up, they wanted me to be the first person to be an officer in our family. We never had a single one. My mom's side of the family can trace it all the way back to Nigeria, where they had a lot of warriors, but no one was ever a chief. So, my parents' desire for me was to be the first one to go to college and be an officer in the military. So what do you think they wanted me to do? They were in the Navy, wanted me to go to college, go to the United States Naval Academy in Annapolis. So that's how I was brought up, living my life by default, doing exactly what my parents wanted me to do. I got good grades, I stayed out of trouble. My mom took me to all those congressional nomination ceremonies that they hold. And eventually, my senior year, I got my congressional nomination. I also got a vice presidential nomination at that time. And I got my appointment to the United States Naval Academy. It was February of my senior year that I got a phone call from the University of Michigan. He said, we want to bring you up for a free trip. I had no desire to go to Michigan. I didn't even know where it was on the map. Being from California, we're very self-centered. But you know, it's a free trip. So, flew up to Ann Arbor, Michigan, and I was walking on campus, meeting different professors, meeting the coaching staff, and I felt like for the first time in my life, it was like a big old light bulb, or like a bat just hit me in the back of the head and just kind of woke me up. All 17 years of me living on this earth, I was doing everything my parents wanted me to do, which you should do. But I was living, or they were living vicariously through me, doing their dreams through myself. So at that point I realized I really don't want to go to Naval Academy. So this is before we had cell phones in high school. I was just below that era. I was at a payphone at Detroit Airport, and I put a quarter in the payphone. I called my mom and I said, you know what, I'm not going to the Naval Academy, I'm going to the University of Michigan. Then I hung up the phone. It's a payphone, she couldn't call me back. It was a long 4-hour flight back to San Diego, California, and I was worried. I didn't know what was going to happen. I never tell my parents no. I do everything they told me to do. I got at San Diego Airport, and my mom was standing right there, and she just opened her arms, and she said, you know what, baby, you're going to college. Most importantly, I'm still not going to pay for it. So I went to the University of Michigan. I had a successful career, not so much in football. Everybody always asks, but I got a huge concussion. I realized my brain was more valuable. So I quit playing football, and I ran track for 4 years. I was good at sports. I love sports, so I got my degree in sports. I also did my internships in sports, and I got my first job working for the Dallas Cowboys in sports. Worked at a couple of different areas in sports. Anybody, Purdue fans? I worked for Purdue. I worked for the Big Ten Conference for a while. And I was at the University of Texas. And I had a nice shirt and tie on, and I was typing up some type of marketing report. And I got a reflection of myself in that computer monitor, and it didn't look good. It looked really sad. I thought if I were to leave Earth at this very moment, what would I be known for? Would I have brought joy to others? Would I have honored my family's last name? And I realized it was no to all those questions. So at that time, my youngest brother had joined the Marine Corps. My sister had joined the Navy. It's time for me to serve. I'm the oldest in the house. So I checked out the Air Force Officer Candidate School, all 4 DoD programs, Army, Marine Corps, and Navy. I settled on everything but the Army, no offense. I just don't do mud. I'm not good at that. I like to stay clean. I got accepted to Officer Candidate School through all the programs, and I settled on the Navy. I had been in that recruiting office for the United States Navy at least a dozen times. And when I went to go sign my life away to be a surface warfare officer, I felt like God had turned my head at the end of the shopping mall. Walked down, and what do you think I saw? Hey. No, it was Border Patrol. Checked them out, didn't like that either. Coast Guard was on the other side. So I went in the United States Coast Guard recruiting office in El Paso, Texas, where there's not a lick of water, and even the Rio Grande was dried up at that time, but Coast Guard was there. Walked in, and I learned, A, that it was a military force, but they did the Homeland Security mission, search and rescue. The biggest draw to me was law enforcement. The Coast Guard is a federal law enforcement agency doing real law enforcement, drug interdictions, a lot of anti-terrorism missions. So I decided that lined up more with my core values. This time I had a cell phone, opened it up, pulled the antenna out, called my mom and said, hey mom, I'm not going to take the Navy OCS appointment, I'm actually going to apply for the Coast Guard. She was like, what's the Coast Guard? And I hung up the phone. My mom, she loves to talk. But I had plans, I had things to do. I applied to Officer Candidate School of the United States Coast Guard, and I was waitlisted. I got accepted on the first try with everybody else, but I was waitlisted, and I watched my name go all the way up to that number 2 spot, and the list got shut off. I hate rejection, so I decided to enlist. Here's a nice side note for you. Out of 100 of us in boot camp, 50 of us had associate's degrees, 25 of us had bachelor's degrees, 5 of us had master's, 1 of us was a dentist who gave up being a doctor to enlist and do food services with the United States Coast Guard. Very educated, very selective, and most importantly, job satisfaction is what we pride ourselves on. So I was enlisted, and like Colonel said, I went to the first Maritime Enforcement Specialist School. Our training is done at all the federal law enforcement training centers across the country. If you can imagine going to college and shooting guns, that's what we did for 3.5 months. We go to class, we work out, we shot guns. Go to class, work out, shot guns, 3.5 months, and we got paid to do it. It's awesome. Got my first pick out of my A school, and that was Charleston, South Carolina, where we did a lot of drug interdiction. Anybody seen the movie Bad Boys 2? Ooh, a lot more than... If you haven't, check it out. It's on Netflix now. There's a 90-second clip where the FBI is trying to chase some drug runners, and they call the big bad Coast Guard to help them do this drug interdiction mission. And they got the helicopter flying, and they got the 25-foot boat with the 50 cal machine gun on it. That was me. Not in the movie, but in real life. Got to do that for 3.5 years. I did a couple of deployments too. And over the course of my enlistment, I applied to Officer Candidate School 3 more times. If you have a dream, you protect it and you don't let anybody tell you no. It was on that 4th try that I finally got Officer Candidate School, got my commission in 2012. And from there, like Colonel said, I was at a port security unit. We've got 6 of these across the entire world. And our mission is to train to deploy within 96 hours in case of a natural disaster or a terrorist attack. Just now in Puerto Rico, my old unit was there in 24 hours, down there rendering aid. Our security team protect people like FEMA and Red Cross because they're getting looted, people are scared, and they don't know what's going on. So we provide that security for them, as well as when the president goes down and does his briefings. That's mostly what the Coast Guard does on the security side, and then we're also the ones down there setting up the hospitals, rendering that humanitarian mission. When I was at my unit as a brand new ensign, I'd been an officer for 6 months. We got deployed to Kuwait. We went over to Kuwait, and I was in charge of 15 of our fast boats. All those boats were worth $15 million apiece. I also had a crew of 33 members, and I was in charge of an E8. A lot of pressure for a brand new ensign. My counterpart was a Naval Academy graduate who was a lieutenant and had been in for 6 years. We had the exact same responsibility. And that's what Colonel was saying. We get a lot of responsibility early on in our careers, and I've loved it to this day. I've been at the Coast Guard Academy Admissions Office for the last 4 years. Doing the mission recruiting, trying to bring the greatest and the brightest minds who want to come get their education at the Coast Guard Academy in New London, Connecticut, and then serve as a junior officer in the fleet. Another side note for you, which is amazing about being a junior officer in the Coast Guard, is we do not have MOSs, or we're not pigeon in a career. You can do law enforcement, you can do search and rescue, you can do environmental protection, you can go inspect the oil containers and make sure they're bringing in appropriate things to our country. We don't have specialties unless you decide you want to stay in the Coast Guard, and then as more chess games get added, and you start to choose which career path that you want to do. So what does all that encompass? Why did I give you this entire story? Going back to that man who bought that suit. When you're looking at decisions to go to college, you got the apps now. Or I'll even take it back. You got the apps, they got Tinder, they got the Bumble, they got all kinds of different things for you to find your mate. Would you choose your significant other, your wife or your husband, based off that app, just by swiping right? You can't date them. You have to swipe right, and that's who you're going to marry. Would you do that? No. No, so I asked you, if you're not going to do it for the most significant decision of your life, why would you do it for the second most significant decision? Whether it's going to college, you got all the different Facebook ads, you see the commercials, you see, the University of Michigan, Purdue, these big schools. A lot of them pride themselves on being the most expensive out-of-state tuition school in the entire world. Just because something's expensive doesn't make it good. Just like that man with that suit, the Armani suit. It's a well-known name, a lot of money it costs, but was it an actual good fit for him? No. So that's my challenge to you. Recondition how we're thinking about our futures and what we're going to do when we graduate out of Howell Military Academy. At the same time, make sure you are living your dream, protecting your dream. I felt like a hostage to my own parents. I was trying to bring glory to them, honor our last name, and do exactly what we're supposed to do. The Bible even says it, obey your parents. However, it was important for me to stand up and to protect my dream and make sure that I pursue the path that's aligned with who I am. At the same time, not disrespecting them. Because in the end, I did get my education, and I'm an officer in the United States military. That is what I have for you. Let's do it all. If you're interested in going to the military academies, check them all out. You want to join the Army, that's great, that's your forefront, but make sure you check out the other services. Make sure you interact with service members. You have to envision yourself wearing that uniform, performing that mission for those 4 to 6 years, and potentially for that 20-year career, and then maybe one day be president of a fine institution like that is here. Lieutenant Darnell Talbert, I do appreciate your time. Thank you, Colonel.
Just 1 second. I usually don't do this, but I want you to, we talked about this briefly, but I thought, I believe this is so significant. One, obviously, getting the right fit. Doing what you want to do in life, that's positive and selfless. But also, Talk a little bit about those times you were rejected when you were trying to become an officer. How did you keep yourself motivated? How did you keep from giving up on your dream? Yeah, you're a terrific athlete, and you have a lot of personal courage, but just talk to them a little bit. Is there anything they can take away or put in their rucksack? Because you're going to face rejections in life. And when I read that, or you told me about that, I thought that was just, incredible. You didn't give up, and now, you're moving forward, extremely successful. So would you talk to me a little bit about how you maintain focus and that type of thing?
Absolutely. I do this now. As an admissions officer, we only take 300 students a year. And we get 5,000 applications. And we got students who, this is their dream and this is what they want to do. It was my dream to become an officer and to lead people. You just got to build on that resume. You have that goal in mind. And like I said earlier, you don't let anybody tell you no. Anybody seen Pursuit of Happiness? If you haven't, write it down. It's also on Netflix. I'm not getting paid by Netflix to say this, but in there, he talks about people will tell you no. People who can't do things themselves, they will tell you no, you can't do it. That's your turn to step up and say, yes, I can. I mean, going to a military school in itself is a challenge. You would not catch me wearing a uniform every day to school. You probably have drill. You're probably forced to sit here at this very moment. That's a sacrifice in itself. You're doing something for you. You're not forced to be here. So with that goal in mind, yes, you keep pursuing it. And you build on that resume. If it's your goal to be sergeant and you don't make it the first time and you still want to be sergeant because that's that leadership role that you have, yeah, you put in that extra time. You teach sergeants. What I've always been told, whether I was enlisted or as an officer, perform the job of the pay grade above you and prove that you belong there. And that's just you putting in that extra work. That's you pushing and driving. Whether it's setting those goals down, writing them on the mirror, having them on your phone, those are what you look at every day as you're pushing yourselves. It's PT scores, that's my favorite thing. Pushing it, get that extra point, get those extra 2 seconds off that mile run. You have those goals in mind, you keep them in your forefront, and you practice it each and every day.
Okay.
Any other questions? I'm going to take questions.
Okay. Okay. Give him a hand. I don't know what to say except nothing prepared, and he just spoke from the heart. And man, was it awesome. Absolutely awesome. Okay, you're a great role model for the Coast Guard, you're a great role model for our Corps, and you're a great role model for our nation. Thanks, and I sincerely mean that. Thank you so much for being here, and what I wanted to do is give you the President's Coin for excellence, and you know how this works, and it's just for, an exceptional performance and commitment, and he didn't have to come up here. He was to go to Indiana or to Indianapolis and visit those other guys. But he said, yes, Colonel, I'll be glad to come up and do that. I look forward to it. And we're so thankful, and thanks for what you do. And with that, please accept this coin.